Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Let me tell you something. Hannah Gabriels against Claressa Shields. It's not just a sports story. Story isn't about two fighters and a lost rematch. It's about process, reputations, second chances, and the business of boxing. When a failed ped test is involved, the headlines jump, the fans pick sides, and careers hang on single lines in a lab report. Before we hand out verdicts, let's walk through why Hannah Gabriels deserves a fair shot at vindication, why Claressa Shields might be hedging on a rematch, and what the realistic outcome will look like if these two ever lace up again. Now, the first rule, and this is just how I feel, athletes deserve due process. In the court of public opinion, people are guilty the second a test result leaks. In the real world, test results need context. Metabolites versus masking agents, contamination versus intentional use, chain of custody, supplement labels, and expert analysis. Gabriels should be given the technical reviews, the chance to explain contamination, and the right to an independent B-sample test. Those are things that it doesn't sound like she received. And even if she did receive it, and she was found to have been irresponsible, give her a 6-month ban, give her a 1-month ban, give her a 2-year ban, but at least allow her to be able to plan for her return to boxing. They didn't give her anything. And that's not right. But I just want to say vindication isn't charity. It's the right way to protect both the athlete and the integrity of the sport. And in this case, neither were protected. Now, failed tests happen. Some aren't evil, okay? I'm not defending the use of PEDs at all. It's just the reality that shit happens. Not everybody out here has bad intentions. Look, PED positives happen for reasons that aren't conspiracy level sinister. Cross-contamination at a supplement factory, mislabeled ingredients, contaminated meat in certain countries, or over-the-counter meds with banned metabolites. These are real, documented issues across sport. Many athletes have had positives, later explained, away by routine errors and not by deliberate cheating. There's also the human factor. Teams using unvetted supplements, lack of strict nutrition oversight, or simply ignorance about what's on the ban list. Those explanations don't excuse a positive, but they do provide plausible, honest reasons that merit investigation. And this is why I think when it comes to Hannah Gabriels, after listening to her the other night, I think she might deserve vindication. If Gabriels supplied a plausible explanation, which she did on my live, let me tell you something. I think she absolutely deserves to be cleared publicly. There was the pet. She was applying the spray. She was handling it for several days. And it just so happens that she turned a positive ped test. She was expecting that. She filled out the supplementary paperwork. She was going through the process. Just trying to sort things out, and the system failed her. But I think at this moment in time, we have to understand her explanation has been consistent. Her career has always been clean. You got to take a look at an athlete's track record. Forget the lab results. That matters. but you got to take a look at an athlete's track record. This is why I think she deserves to be cleared publicly. Or at this point in time, she deserves to get back in the ring. Okay? She's been blackballed. Claressa Shields hasn't done her any favors with all the things Claressa Shields has said. But remember, just because I like Hannah Gabriels as a fighter, just because I want to see her return to the ring, there was a positive test that came back. She's taking accountability. But she's given her story and her explanation, and she's been consistent with her explanation. So I think it's time to clear her name so she can restore her livelihood, mental health, and the right to rematch. Claressa Shields is a fight that should have happened. There have been other fighters, man, male, female, who have had issues with ped tests and have been allowed to continue their careers. Why wasn't Hannah Gabriels allowed to continue hers? But I tell you what, I ain't gonna lie, I gotta worry a little bit and be concerned about where she's at mentally, because it was, public humiliation is real. Even when athletes are later vindicated, the damage is real. You know what I'm saying? You can't undo the damage. You can't leave your mind behind. Public perception. And when someone goes out, someone's staring at them, maybe they think they're looking at them like, oh, that's the person who cheated. When really, they may be trying to say, oh, wow, that's Hannah Gabriel, that's so-and-so, the great fighter. But that's what happens, man, when you have, you've been publicly lynched, then there's a public accusations, then the person had suspended purses, they've had missed opportunities, and the stain on sponsorships, this stuff doesn't just go away. And the reality is, Hannah Gabriels lost momentum. Narratives were written about her credibility, and the rematch she deserved got canceled. The loss of timing, the window when she was marketable and sharp, is often irretrievable. She's 42 years old now. Still, I truly believe she can still get in the ring and do the business. But at the end of the day, several years of inactivity, and she's 42. Vindication repairs an official record, but it doesn't always repair lost currency or public memory, and it definitely can't reverse age. Now, with that being said, a person might say, well, shit, Claressa Shields was trying to go to Layla Ali, right? Claressa Shields was out here, I'm the GOAT, I'm the best, go. All right, flip coin. You're going to go after an older Layla Ali. You say you're chasing greatness. Hannah Gabriel's name on Claressa's resume is an open sore because Hannah Gabriels dropped Claressa. She hit her with the Costa Rican bing bings. So why won't Shields line up a rematch with Gabriels? I think there's several practical reasons. First, business. Claressa is a brand, whether you like it or not. She has some sponsors. She has partners. There's a public image that she had, but I think she's kind of gotten away from that public image, which a lot of us didn't really see her as. I think now everybody sees her as toxic and troublesome. Wasn't quite like that before. She's just seen as loud and confident and cocky and the GOAT, but most people didn't mind it. Hurt your ears, but they didn't really mind it. But I think a rematch with Hannah Gabriels, even though she was linked to the ped test, and even if she gets cleared, I think at a moment in time that could have been a PR risk, but right now, I don't think it's a PR risk. I think Claressa Shields may actually need that fight to help get her some credibility. And then you got to look at just the timing as well, where Claressa Shields may not want it. Shields' team, they may believe there are more lucrative or lower risk opponents available that maximize money, and it's all about the Wu-Tang cream, cha-ching ching, dollar bill, y'all. So they can go after big money, low risk, minimizing legacy threats. Hannah Gabriels is a legacy threat to any female fighter. And then thirdly is just legitimacy. Even with vindication, the public's memory can be messy. Shields' team might prefer a fight that gives Shields bigger immediate upside or one that doesn't risk reopening a messy chapter. But this is where I think if Hannah Gabriels can come back, get 2 or 3 big wins, all by knockout, you better believe there's going to be a public demand and outcry for the Claressa Shields Hannah Gabriels rematch. And there are some who are still going to talk about the Peds, but let me tell you something. Fans would have moved beyond it. That's one thing for sure. Now, does Claressa fear getting dropped again? Make no mistake. Any fighter who's been dropped by an opponent, they remember it. Knockdowns aren't just stats. They live in muscle memory and in the back of a fighter's mind. I don't care what no one says. We can argue tooth and nail. Matter of fact, if I was talking with Claressa Shields and we were going back and forth, she could call Papoose. Pap. Her champion over here disagreeing with me. Pap. Jump in here, Pap. I just had to go back and forth with Papoose. We'd have to argue. Because deep down, Claressa may worry about history repeating. This time, she may not get back up. Nobody wants to be the fighter who gets caught in the same spot twice. Real fear? Maybe not. Strategic risk assessment? Absolutely. A savvy team will weigh the reputational upside of a... I think they would weigh just the benefits of this fight and what it can do for her reputation. But they would definitely weigh the reputational upside of a decisive rematch win against the downside of getting dropped again and reigniting critics. So yes, worry is rational, not cowardice, but I do think Claressa Shields doesn't want to gain the attention of any more negative attention than being criticized. Like no matter what she says, she has so many people, man, trying to put a foot on her neck for so many different reasons. Getting in there, man, and announcing a rematch for Hannah Gabriels, you better believe if she were to get dropped in that fight again, nobody gonna care if Claressa Shields wins the fight. They're gonna be all over her, and it's not gonna be fun for Claressa Shields. Now, the effects of outside distractions on performance. Claressa has a lot going on, and that's why I'm telling you she can't afford to get dropped by anyone. She got a lot of crap going on outside the ring, man. Media wars, branding fights, public relationships, controversy, the Layla Ali drama. Even has her name being attached to disrespecting the late great Muhammad Ali. That distraction chips away at focus. Even minor shifts in routine, different sleep patterns, more interviews, and emotional drain all can sap a fighter's edge. Boxing is a razor sport, man. A fraction of attention lost in camp can mean the difference between slipping a counter and eating a clean shot. Lost in reaction time. You can't afford to have a tenth of a second in your reaction time taken away from you. That can be the difference of getting out the way of a shot and getting hit clean and a standing 8 or knocked out cold. So when you factor in mental load, media storms and legal or personal distractions can make a once rock-solid fighter more vulnerable. And that's just the truth. Now, continuing with the true talk, moreover, at age 42, Hannah Gabriels, ring rust and the realistic odds. I mean, look, physiology matters, man. Recovery, reaction time, and punch resistance generally decline with age. But boxing is not purely about youth, so I want to make sure I foot stomp that because there's so many people who are like, oh, Hannah Gabriel is too old now. Let me tell you something. Experience, timing, and ring IQ can level the field. Hannah's chance isn't a binary yes-no. It's conditional. If Gabriel stayed active, which it sounds like she did, trained rigorously, and she was, no kidding, in sparring sessions trying to win, basically meaning she was having real fights in sparring over the last few years, I do think she may be able to come out and get a couple meaningful bouts. And like I said, get some wins, hopefully knockouts, I think it could lead into a rematch. And I do think she can absolutely be competitive. Now, if the long layoffs were unproductive, if she was basically living an uneventful, almost semi-retired boxer lifestyle, poor training cycles, injuries, I think her window has narrowed, and I don't know if she can come back from that. So at 42, possible but tough. The topology of the fight, styles, pace, weight class, it becomes decisive. So, why habits matter? Remember the first fight, Gabriels dropped Shields, which means she has the power and correct timing to hurt her. Styles make fights. If Gabriel still brings the same timing, pressure, or ability to catch Shields in mid-transition, she remains dangerous regardless of age. Conversely, if Shields adapted, trained to tighten defense and study Gabriel's timing, she can neutralize the earlier problems. Now, we know Shields has become more sloppy over her last couple of fights. And that's why I think Gabriels would have, I think her or Shadae Green have a really good chance on getting a victory if they were to fight her in the next couple of fights. But the outcome would depend heavily on who evolved more between fights. And I think same way Gabriels has been away from the sport, inactive, you would tend to believe that she probably isn't firing on all cylinders at this moment. But I don't think Shields is firing on all cylinders either. But Shields has definitely been more active and in the gym and in the ring. So I can understand Shields opening up as a favorite. But I do think it's a good thing if Gabriels becomes vindicated. And I think we should understand what that would mean, not just for her, but for the sport. And if she is vindicated, the rematch happens at some point in time. The sport wins a redemption narrative. A fighter cleared gets to return to form and an emotionally charged fighter. It also sets a precedent for careful anti-doping work. That positive tests must be contextualized and that athletes deserve transparency, which Hannah Gabriels was not given. But if the rematch never happens, the unresolved finish line stays at a talking point and a what if forever. Vindication without opportunity is moral justice without, I would say it's moral justice without practical repair. But the bottom line is, Claressa Shields, the GOAT. How can she safely take the rematch? That's if she even wants to do it. I just think if Shields wanted to remove the PR risk and genuinely test herself, there are smart ways. Hold the rematch with an independent anti-doping clause, public B sample review, third-party oversight to reassure sponsors, a clear contract with transparency can make this fight a winner for both athletes. Now, from a narrative standpoint, that approach is classy. It shows Shields isn't ducking, claims integrity, and gives Gabriels a platform to reclaim the moment. But who knows what they're going to do with that. And then as far as, I think just beyond the sport, there's a human angle. Athletes recover, they age and try to rebuild. If Gabriels made an honest mistake or fell victim to contamination, vindication and opportunity are morally right. But in this case, she's telling you she was handling the medication for the dog, a testosterone derivative, okay? And I know there's some people saying, well, that's what a lot of different athletes have said when they're trying to, cover up, really doping and stuff like that, and then they come out and they use this as an alibi. All I'm going to say is this. Boxing has room for redemption arcs. Fighters who return, correct mistakes, and win back, and they win, they can actually get back a lot of respect. And I think powerful stories that help sell the sport remind fans that we value fairness as much as drama. But I do understand the positive test result. I understand how someone could say, yeah, we hear you, but we don't believe you. But she's taking accountability. She's saying it's on her. She's letting the world know, hey, athletes, make sure you understand your paperwork. Make sure you know what you're touching, what you're around, who you got around you. Someone giving you something to drink and take, you stop, you question it. You take control of your destiny. Because at the end of the day, when you fail a ped test, that shit is all on you. And nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about your family. Nobody cares about your children. Nobody cares what kind of, forget the mental stress, the financial stress it puts on you. No one gives a shit. So at the end of the day, where does this leave us? Where does this leave Hannah? I'll say this. I think Hannah Gabriels deserves a thorough public vindication. She says she has all of her evidence. She has everything, all her ducks in a row. And I think if everything supports what she says, and I think she deserves public vindication, man. I really do. And hopefully when she came on a platform, and I know that video has circulated, you just don't know who's seen the video, who's heard her story. Hopefully it gains momentum. It can help to get her back in the ring, you know what I mean? But Claressa Shields' reluctance to rematch is defensible from a business and risk viewpoint. And a bit of fear of history repeating is natural for any elite fighter, man. And I understand all of that. Hannah's chance at 42 to beat Claressa is not zero. It depends on, again, the activity, training, weight class, specific matchup on fight night. If both women are honest, professional, and settings transparent, a rematch could be both a great fight and proper closure. If Claressa refuses without a valid, transparent reason, fans will read that as an avoidance. If Gabriels is officially cleared and still denied a rematch, you know, the moral optics favor Gabriels. And I do think it should be a public vindication. I think her situation should be a major announcement to let the whole boxing world know that, hey, this is something that was an honest mistake. She wasn't intentionally taking any kind of pads, and what they did find in her system wasn't enough to give her any advantage. And I think that they should go public. The same way that she's been publicly lynched and dragged across the coals, same way that she should be, hoisted up on the shoulders of the same people who did that to her, and have them say, hey, look, we were wrong about her. She's innocent. Let's get her back in the swing of things. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. Claressa Shields keeps saying no. You can kind of understand. She was going to give her a rematch. But at the end of the day, I don't think Hannah Gabriels was really given a fair shake at all this, just going off of what she said, man. But can she beat Claressa now? I think that's the real question. We won't know unless they both get in the ring. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.